Hello, Dawn Moore at Allegiance Title Company. Today I'd like to take the opportunity to discuss a special provision that I am seeing in some of the contracts coming across my desk. At best, this clause is redundant, and at worst, it can be misleading. The clause I'm talking about is the as-is clause. It reads something like, buyer accepts the property as is with no repairs. Or it will say, seller sells the property as is with no repairs. At best, this sentence is simply a repeat of exactly what paragraph 7D states. 7D states, buyer accepts the property in its present condition. Texas courts have even held that its present condition is the same as is. So this clause in special provisions does nothing to add to that present condition paragraph. At worst, this clause can be misleading. Years ago, the term as is meant that the buyer was buying the property under a concept of caveat emptor or buyer beware, meaning the buyer was accepting the property with or without disclosed defects. There is no such thing in the state of Texas anymore. Sellers must disclose any defects they know or should have known existed on the property to the buyer. So the buyer still can take the property as is, but that means in its present, fully disclosed condition. But another reason I hear for adding the as-is clause in special provisions is to prohibit the buyer from asking for any repair amendment during the option period. I'll submit to you simply by stating that the buyer is accepting the property as is does not prohibit the buyer from asking for an amendment to the contract. In fact, the buyer can ask for an amendment to the contract at any time during the contract term. The difference is if he asks for an amendment, whether it be for a repair request or a reduction in the sales price, or seller pay closing costs in lieu of repairs during the option period, if the seller says no, the buyer can terminate the contract. But the buyer can ask for just such amendments even outside the option period. The difference is when the seller says no, the buyer has no leverage. Another reason, though, people put this as-is clause in special provisions is they're trying to encourage the buyer to only exercise their right to terminate should their inspection turn out unsatisfactory. This then keeps the buyer from disclosing to the seller some defects the seller may not otherwise know about. Once these defects are disclosed to the seller by a repair request, the seller would have to disclose that to a subsequent purchaser if this transaction fell through. Inserting an as-is clause to your contract adds nothing to the contract. I do understand, however, that some sellers are still insistent that provision be added to the contract. I hope this video will help you explain to your clients its impact. Allegiance Title wants to be your resource for results, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.